Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a card for you for Christmas using a lot of the Purple Onion Designs products that I recently got. And this actually is my idea for this card. And I'm going to start with the two bears. I also colored this image for the current challenge that there is on Instagram, the 30-day coloring challenge, as I spoke about in my first video with these products. It's only 11 days this time, so I'm trying to manage 11 projects to color, and this was my second day. So I colored these two bears, and then I had my A2 size panel ready. So I decided that I was going to put a toy store behind it. So here you can see how I am stamping these images out. As you know, there isn't any image on the back of these rubber stamps, so you have to sort of check first whether your placement is right, and I do that by using a piece of acetate and I stamp on there with some black ink, and then I can check with the squares from my sweet petunia whether it is straight or not. And if necessary, I can just shift my cardstock so that it is perfect. Now, just in case I was doing that background, I also made a mask for these two images, which I kept afterwards, so I can still reuse that mask in future projects. And now I'm going to color in these bears. If you are following me on Instagram, you already saw the coloring of these two bears, because I am sharing what I'm coloring for the challenge on my Instagram account in Instagram TV videos. So these are videos between 1 minute and 10 minutes, and I'm trying to get the coloring in that time frame done after editing, of course, because this took me a while. So you already saw that if you are following me on Instagram. But then, of course, the background is totally new. It was a bit daunting, but I'm super glad that I did that. But that's afterwards. So first of all, for my little cuties here, I have two browns. The lighter one is for the little one, and then the dark one is for the mama bear. And then I have some reddish colors and some green colors. These combinations of colors I already used in some cards, but I truly adore them. It's a bit more of a vintagey look. That also inspired me to do my background for this card. But yeah, it's leaning towards the traditional Christmas colors, but then again, it's not that bright red that we are used of, and that bright green. So for the little bear, you can see here that I made a little mistake, like the paw I did in brown, because I thought that it was first wearing a sweater, but then I saw that there wasn't any ending of the sweater, so no sweater, but some mittens. So I just went over it afterwards with the green and fixed it that way. Nobody can see in the end, so that's the most important part. For those who are new to my channel, I am doing some no-line coloring with distress inks. This means that I prefer stamping it out using the antique linen distress ink. You can also use no-line coloring inks, but I just prefer keeping everything distress ink when I'm starting with that. And then I take my paintbrush to the inks that I smooshed on the side. I don't have a lot of water on that paintbrush. I have a lot of ink when I'm going towards my image, and then I create a damp paintbrush and spread the color around. You can combine different colors to get shadows and such. I prefer going over the same parts with the same ink color, and just keep adding layers until I'm happy with the depth created and the shadows. But there are many ways to do watercoloring, to do no-line coloring. this is just what works for me at the current moment. So I just wanted to repeat that again. Also, for the people who haven't tried it out, please do. If you like it, just go for it. Also, if you're on Instagram and you are doubting about participating on the coloring challenge that is hosted, it's just a way of getting us to our lovely place, which is our craft room or our desk, and just have fun, enjoy the moment, take some time to really do what makes you happy. So no strings attached. If it doesn't work for you a certain day, it's no shame. Then you just continue the next day or 2 days after. It's just about you and about having fun, about also having an excuse. Maybe I use the challenges as an excuse to really say, sorry, I have to craft a bit today, and then I can enjoy the crafting. So it's more about that. For some people, it's about coming out of their comfort zone, trying new things. Other people are like, okay, coloring challenge, let's fill up those markers first, let's clean up my craft room or my desk, and let's get going. Whatever works for you, whatever is important for you, that's what it's all about. So yeah, maybe you haven't participated yet and you're like, don't know if I can do. Now this challenge is normally 30 days. I must admit, sometimes it's hard for me as well, but this time it was 11 days and I think I can manage 11 days. So that's why I'm doing this. So again, if you want to see some previews of images that are coming in future videos on YouTube here, they will be on my Instagram. Just for this challenge, I'm not going to create a coloring video each time that I'm doing something, but for this challenge I am. And then I will see what I can make with these images as cards. The completed cards will be on my YouTube channel and on my blog. So just for those who are only here or who are also looking at my blog, as soon as it's completely finished, I'm sharing it as usual on these channels. So I am quite far already with these images and I'm just blabbing away. But I am going to put on some music and I will be back as soon as I start on the rest of this card for some more explanation and the thoughts about how I chose my colors and such. Okay, so this was the coloring of my critters, and now I am going to fussy cut this mask out. I have some new scissors, and I think I shared it in the previous video as well. I have some scissors. I got them from one of you guys, from Annette. She was truly sweet to send me two different kinds of scissors, and they work both perfectly. So maybe, yeah, fussy cutting is becoming a part of my crafting adventure because of these. But yeah, I fussy cut the mask, and now I'm going to ink up my background stamp that I'm going to use. This one is the toy store background, and this one is so gorgeous. There are so many details. I truly think Stacey Yacula is amazingly talented, but we all know that. But this is just, and I'm actually glad that I am doing it no line coloring, or just that I'm doing it watercoloring, because there are so many tiny details, and with the Copic markers they are really thick, the brush tip, so I couldn't do that with Copic markers. I think maybe I will try it in the future, but for now I'm glad that I have my paintbrush and a bit more control about also the size of the brush that I'm using, which is a 0, the same brush as for the images. I'm inking this one up using the antique linen again, and you saw me place my cardstock right by using my acetate. So I'm just making sure that everything is crisp, stamped out perfectly, and then I can start with the coloring. Now for the coloring, I was really doubting at first to use some bright colors, and then I thought, no, the images are so cute, I don't want the background to take away from them. So I decided that I wanted to use some monochrome colors, keeping it really simple, but then at the end I decided also to add those accessories inside of the stores with some colors, but I used the same as for the images that I colored in previously, so that there wasn't too much color distracting from the cute bears. So that's what I did. A lot of antique linen is going into this background, and then of course I also used a bit of vintage photo to help me get some more warmth into this background as well. It's Christmas, so it's a really vintagey look, I think. And it started all with the idea of doing something monochrome. I wanted the background to be visible, but not to distract too much. So I really hope that I succeeded in that. I think I did. I actually am really happy with how it turned out. I also, while I was stamping, have stamped out this card again, because everything was placed right, so then it's handy to just ink up two images immediately. I don't know what I will do with that one, whether I will make exactly the same or with the same ID at least, or with more colors. I won't be showing it because it will be the same design and I don't want to repeat myself. But if I would use other colors, I probably will show it in my stories on Instagram, but I don't know yet. I'm still busy with figuring out which images I'm going to color for the challenge each day, and then of course I want to make cards with each and every image I am coloring, so that is going first, and the one that I've stamped out extra is when I have some more time, but it's not a priority at the moment. But that's what I did. So if you are using rubber stamps and you like the design that you used, try to stamp it out multiple times before replacing or changing up your stamp. And then you have multiple cards to go with, to color in when you have time, and you don't need to fiddle with placement anymore. It will be just fine. So far I have only used the antique linen distress ink. And as you can see, it's quite pale, which is also something that I could have done and just stopped there. But then I am adding here the vintage photo, and I thought that it had a nice effect, but just between the buildings was just a bit strange, I thought, so I just kept adding. And that's how actually the background turned out really warm, in my opinion, and I don't regret it. So I'm just going to put on some music, and I will be back sometimes when I want to add something or explain something a bit more. But yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to continue with the toys. And there are days that this works out perfectly, and then there was today where this didn't turn out perfectly. So I went over it, but I was a bit shaky, and some leathers went fine, like this one, but then the Y didn't work out fine for me. So what you can do then is actually to just go over the whole thing with water, like I did here. The advantage about this is when you went over your leathers with the ink, the distress ink that you use in the beginning, which is antique linen in my case, can absorb the ink a bit, and then sometimes, which was in this case, definitely, is that the antique linen really keeps that ink over there. So you can still see the toys, but it's much lighter than what I thought I was going to do. And then I also had to add some brown to the rest of this part. But actually this way it looks like it's engraved in wood, the toys, in my opinion. So I'm glad that it didn't work out. But otherwise I would have kept this whole piece really light, and then the toys would stand out much more. But it's good like this as well. So it's a bit more rustic. So here for the images, I had been thinking a while about it. I'm just going to add a bit of color, keeping the basics brown as the building, but then I will add some wild honey to the fire. I will add some green to the tree, and the presents will be the pinkish red. And for the rest, I'm just doing what I'm always doing. So nothing too complicated. There are a lot of details, so yeah, that's something that you have to take into account. I also here I was a bit forgotten that that circle is from the hat from the bear. I went over it with browns, but then afterwards I just used a wet paintbrush to lift up that color again. Yeah. So here you can see that I just turned it brown. That was not what I wanted to do, so that was a little mistake, but we can fix that, it's no problem. Okay, so now everything is colored in, and I was thinking of creating something on the ground, like a bit of grounding. Now it's all white. If I would redo this card, I think I would keep it white. I don't know. I still actually don't know. But I thought that I wanted to create some sort of grounding, some sort of pathway. So I just went in really softly with some browns, but I didn't like the rough edge with the white of the rest of the card. So then I added some more browns and really made sure to create some sort of a gradient. So that's what I did. I don't know, would you have added this grounding? Would you have left it white? There are a lot of amazingly talented card makers who can create really realistic grounds, also skies, also tree backgrounds, like crazy talented people. But I'm not comfortable with creating some sort of a stoned pathway or all those things. I like keeping it simple currently, so I also don't really practice creating more realistic scenes, so I actually don't know. Everyone has its own style, and currently I try to keep it simple. But I don't. Would you have left it white, or would you have done something like me, or would you have done the realistic grounding, or what would you have done? I'm just really really curious, because sometimes I think maybe this was a bit too much, and on the other hand, when it was white, I was just not sure about it being so white. So it was a struggle, but in the end I'm happy with how it ended up. Like, here I'm going to stamp out the sentiment, which is adorable. It says, "City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style," which is the case in this card. So I just thought that it fitted perfectly. I stamped it out using the crunchy leaf from Fawn, and it just wasn't stamping out really crisp. I don't know why. But I just wasn't really happy with it, and then I decided that I was just going to add a bit of embossing powder, the clear matte dull from Wow, just to smoothen it a bit more, and I'm happy that I did that, but I still don't really know what happened. Is it the ink? Is it the stamp? Is it maybe the background that I painted and it just won't stick to it? I don't know. But as long as we manage to turn it around and to create something that we love, I think it's fine. I'm adding some purple tape. It might seem strange, but this panel is a bit curled up because of the painting, of course. So that's why I just added this. I didn't want to smear anything while stamping my sentiment, so thought that that was a good idea to do. I'm just stamping the sentiments a few times. But then I will also use some Versamark clear embossing ink and then some embossing powder. So I'm going to heat set this sentiment, and then I will lay it underneath something heavy to flatten out this panel, and then I can add this to a card base later on. So that's my card for today. I know this video is really long, I'm really sorry about that, but the note line coloring takes a bit longer, and also just because with the whole scene it just took even longer than usual. So really sorry about that, but I really hope as well that you enjoyed watching this video and that I could inspire you to try something new yourself if you haven't tried anything like this yet. With the background, it was quite new for me as well, but I really enjoyed it, so that's the most important thing. If you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. If you like this card, please give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it, and I will be back soon with some more cards. Bye!